everybody, you're welcome to Just for Women Africa. My name is Olaleko Amusa. I'm the founder of Just for Women Africa. And today we're going to talk about books, children's books, African books here in Ghana. We have with us Abna Denchi Mensah, who is the director of Red Oaks. They publish books here in Ghana, various types. We have one here of the late Joy John Rawlings. We have one of Kofi Annan, and the rest of them. She'll be talking to us about why she got into publishing, why she likes to focus on African history here in Ghana, and anything that comes up during the conversation. So stick around and we'll be right back. Hi everybody, you're welcome back to Just for Women Africa, and we have Rabna. Rabna, you're welcome to Just for Women Africa.
Thank you.
I've seen a couple of books which you published. A really nice book. Adebipele, Kofi Annan, Joy John Rawlings, really lovely books. Could you tell us why you decided to publish these type of books?
Okay, so the focus of the books is to inculcate patriotism and love for the country in the average Ghanaian child. And which other way better is it than to do it in the form of storybooks? So it's like we are creating a love affair, a relationship between the average Ghanaian child and the country. And when that is established, they will grow up to become adults that love the country, hence leaders that love the country. And most of our problems will be solved. So that is our way of effecting change in the Ghanaian country.
Why did you decide to use the medium of hard copy and not soft copy? Do you think children these days do not read enough?
We actually use both. We have the soft copies and we have the hard copies as well.
Okay. All right. You've been in business for the last 10 years. And could you tell us, what has it been like doing business as a woman over the last 10 years in the publishing industry?
Quite interesting. You know, a mixture of every business has its own challenges. So the challenges are just for you to learn and improve on whatever you are doing. So I would say it's been interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Could you tell us one or two challenges you've encountered over the last 10 years?
If you look at our books, you can tell they are of, international standard. So sometimes forming the team to get that quality that we want takes a bit of, time. Then the fans, a lot of fans goes into making a solid book. Then, I would say basically just that. That's aside that, everything is just okay.
Everything's okay. Let's look at the book of yours, The King of the Tree. It's really, really lovely. I love the texture. It looks up to international standard and all. Were all this printed here in Ghana?
No, they were not printed here in Ghana, but everyone that worked on them is a Ghanaian. So the author is a Ghanaian, the illustrator, the graphic designer, everything is Ghanaian, but we just print them, outside. Sometimes we print some here, sometimes we print some outside, depending on the cost.
On the cost, okay. So over the last 10 years, how many books have you published so far?
About 60 plus.
60 plus?
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
And you're all written by Ghanaians?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the books which you have published quite recently. Let's talk about the ones on the tables which you have here. Let's start off with Kofi Annan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what's it about Kofi Annan that inspired you to write a book about him?
Kofi Annan is just you can't talk about a hero in Africa or Ghana without mentioning Kofi Annan. He started off as a young boy who had a vision, backed with a dream, and he did everything he could just to get to that. And he was, I would say, the first Ghanaian to be a UN General Secretary. And this is a lot of inspiration for the average Ghanaian child, that you don't have to necessarily be in a developed country to dream or have a vision or pursue your vision. So Kofi Annan is like a perfect example of a Ghanaian child taking their education seriously and focusing on their dream. So he's just an icon.
Yeah, I do agree with you. He is an icon. Okay, so let's talk about somebody else. We have President John Kufuor there. Why President John Kufuor?
Okay, so he's not just the only president. The late President Jerry John Rawlings is there. We have the big sis as well. We have Dr. J.B. Dankwa. So it's not just him. We have a wide range, varieties of heroes. We can't capture all of them at the same time. So, of course, we will just select a few, but eventually we are going to write about all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. But when you look at our books, it's not just about the political figures. We have Abedi Ayew Pele here. So normally when we talk about heroes, people think it's just politicians. No, we have Abedi Ayew here, so that if you're a sports person or if you're a child who likes sports, you can also, it's your way of affecting change in your country. We have Theodosia Okun here, the woman who designed the Ghana flag. So we cut across different varieties of people.
Okay, well said. These are really interesting books which you have published and written up. My next question would be, how do you market the books? So
we go to schools. We have salespeople, marketers who go to schools. Then we go to bookshops as well. Most of the bookshops have our books. Then we do the online marketing too. We have the soft copies that some agencies have it on their site.
And so you have marketers who go around marketing the books to schools and the dictionary association in the country. Yeah. What has been the feedback been so far?
They love our books. The first question is it Ghanaian? Were they made here? Yes, and it's a very positive feedback. Every child wants to just have it. I think Ghanaian children love books. It just has to be colorful enough and attractive. If you look at our books, you can tell they are very colorful. They're very attractive. So the feedback is just wonderful.
I need to ask you a question. So, you've written a couple of books. Could you show to the camera the various books you've written?
Okay, so we don't write them.
Okay.
We publish them.
Okay.
We edit and publish them, yes. So, this Theodosia Okun, she's a woman that designed the Ghana flag. And it shows that if you were a girl child, you have some form of art as a gift, you can use it to affect the country. This is Kofi Annan. I've already talked about him. Let me not go into him again. So this is when we have stories in the form of folk tales. In the olden days, grandmothers will use stories in the form of folktale to instill discipline in us. So we have a story on the end of a traitor, giving us some wisdom on having good reputation as a child. We have the Hamatan man. You know, Hamatan is kind of unique to Ghana, right? Yeah, so we hear winter, summer, you know, so this is our weather too, Hamatan. So we carved it in the form of a story. And we have A Four and the Mouse. A Four and the Mouse is a very interesting story. It talks about how animals can be very useful to us. And it shows the relationship between Efua and the mouse. She was nice to the mouse, and later the mouse also helped her out. So it shows a child that when you see animals, just don't like hurt them or make fun of them or anything. So we just capture the minds of a child in diverse forms, good manners, knowing the history or the heroes of the country. Then this King of the Trees, it talks about the palm tree. It talks about the various aspects of the palm tree. I mean, after reading that, you realize that you didn't even know much about the palm tree. You realize that, I mean, every aspect of the palm tree is very useful. So when you are giving a child some food, palm nut soup, and they are a bit hesitant, after reading this book, you realize that there's this love for our food, there's this love for our things. So it's just capturing the minds of the child in different forms so that a relationship is formed between the child and the country. So we are forming a relationship between the child and the country. It's like a love affair. Mm-hmm. And how then can you have a love affair unless you talk about them? So once we talk about these books, these stories, or the country in the form of a story, book, then the child will grow up having some love for the country. Then the whole leadership issues that we have here is solved, because the child becomes the adult, so the adult becomes the leader. So we have seen that there is a problem, and the problem is, I wouldn't say a problem, a challenge. The challenge is we kind of have people who don't really love the country. There's some form of disconnection, and our way of solving the challenge is to inculcate all these values and build that relationship between the child and the country, so that once there is that relationship, they become a doctor, they are good doctors for the country, a lawyer, good lawyer for the country, a politician, good politician for the country. So that is our small way of affecting change in Ghana, in Africa as a whole.
I can see you published a lot of books over the last 10 years, and really lovely books for the kids to read. In the future, do you have plans to publish more books?
Definitely. So the focus is on our culture, our traditions, our values. So, and it cuts across. We can have hundreds of books on our foods, on our people, on our festivals. So we are going to do a whole lot of books targeting all these aspects of the Ghanaian. And afterwards, once a child starts reading between the ages of 7 to, let's say, 16, 17 years, by the time they get to that age, naturally they would know everything about their country. And it's more or less like a love affair. So we are like the mediators between the average Ghanaian child and the country itself. So this love affair, our role is to let the Ghanaian child know a lot about the country. Our story hasn't been told. our history hasn't been told. All we see are the foreign content. But our soil is rich. You know, our people, our culture, our foods, everything that we have is so nice. We have herbal medicines. We have so many things. So there is so much information that is at the background. So what we are doing is we are carving them in a form of colorful, interesting stories for children to just, you know, enjoy. And by the time they, you know, read them, get in the stories and the concepts and everything, then we've created a very solid bond between the average Ghanaian child and the country. Then it solves all the problems that, you know, we face. We complain about our politicians, our leaders, our elders. They were first children who became adults and eventually became leaders. And the missing link is there is a disconnection. So what Red Oak is doing is we are connecting the average Ghanaian child back to the country. Then we solve all the adult challenges that we have.
Okay, out of all the books which you've written, which are your top 3 you really love?
I love all of them. I don't want some to make more sales than the others, so I love all of them.
But definitely, I'm sure when you go to bed, I'm sure you were to recommend the book. If you were to recommend the book to 1 or 2 people, I'm sure which are the first 2 or 3 you pick up?
So I think Kofi Annan is one of my favorites because of where he came from and where he got to.
Okay.
Then Hamatan Man, because it talks about our weather. Then King of the Trees, because it talks about our food. But otherwise, I love all of them.
This is Just for Women Africa, and I need to ask you this question because it is said that women history is not documented enough in Africa. It's mostly men which is documented. Are there plans for Red Oak to publish more on women history in Ghana?
Yeah, we are already publishing women history in Ghana. This is Theodosia Okun. We have stories on Yasantua the First, the female warrior of the Ashanti Empire. We have books on Georgina Wood. So we have a whole lot of range coming up from the feminine perspective.
10 years in the business of publishing, what's the future for Red Oak?
Our mind can't comprehend it. Red Oak is just going to capture every aspect of Ghana. Once we are done, then we'll move to the rest of the African countries. So the aim is to bring out everything Ghanaian and African at the end of it all. Then we can rest. Okay,
as we round up the interview, this is Just for Women Africa. What's your advice to women out there who feel that it's a man's world, who would want to start a business just the way you are, but they feel that, you know, they don't have enough money to start a business, and, you know, they feel, they get sexually harassed by the men when they get into the workplace?
It can be a man's world. It can be a man's world. I would say that obviously we have some challenges. You have to be an exceptional. We don't have time to complain. You know, when you feel you are unfairly treated, you don't focus on what the other person is doing. You focus on yourself. So we have to develop ourselves. We have to learn, read, develop ourselves. We have to see ourselves as a brand, work on ourselves. And once we've done the work on ourselves, no one can put us anywhere. It's just a natural thing. So the focus shouldn't be struggling for power and equality. The focus should be just do your work. And once you are well cooked, you need not to talk much.
So viewers who are watching, who love the interview and love what you're doing with the books, could you tell our viewers where they can get hold of the books?
So we have our books in almost all the bookshops in Ghana, all the big bookshops in Ghana. But then if you happen not to find our books, there's our sales line, 020-296-7416. 020-296-7416.
Okay, Abna, thank you so much for being here on the show with us. Really appreciate it. We look forward to interviewing again in the future.
Thank you. Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And so if you also are watching, go out and get yourself a Red Oak book. I have with me here John Ajegim Kufuor. Really nice biography. Go out and get it for your children to read and get to know about Ghanaian history here in Ghana. And so if you also are watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend who knows a friend about Just Women Africa. And to the next show from Robin and I, to be. Bye.
Bye.